Great. Okay, so this is our journal selector tool. It's the original and still the best journal selection tool on the internet. And as Gareth mentioned earlier, it's still the only publisher independent journal selector tool. We're not going to try to steer you to any one publisher's journals or another. This is a neutral tool to find the best possible results for your paper. So let's say that I have a paper, and here's a paper by a young and up-and-coming researcher called Dr. Gareth J. Dyke. Bird remains from the Maastrichtian type area, late Cretaceous. You can tell I'm not a paleontologist. So there are a couple different ways that I can search for a journal. Now this, of course, is already a published paper. But let's say that Gareth has this manuscript, and I'm going to pull Gareth's abstract and see if those keywords from that abstract will give me some useful results. So let's paste those in again. And now it's giving me a list of journals and publishers, and it's giving me all of their impact factors. Now let's say I want to limit some of these and maybe filter for something more specific. Maybe I want to type in specifically the field of paleontology or physical biology or something like that. I can also limit by impact factor. So you can see here, it's giving me results across a range of impact factors. But let's say I'm the famous researcher, Dr. Gareth J. Dyke, and I want to publish in a journal that's very high impact factor, because of course. So let's try that search again, but this time with the filters set to very high impact factor. Now I can see I'm only getting very high impact factor journals like Royal Society, Nature, Oxford, and so on. I can also select or filter for journals that have open access options. Let's try that. So I've selected very high impact factor. I'll paste my abstract in again. I've selected open access options and see if I get any choices here. Okay, great. So now we've really limited my selection down to these 4 journals. They have what I want: very high impact factor, open access options, and so on. So that's one example of searching for a journal using your abstract. Now you don't need to use an abstract. You can use a set of keywords. You can use a selection of keywords maybe from your title and so on. Now, in addition to the journal selector tool, we also have journal selector course, or journal selection course, I should say. And this is on Edon's Learning Lab. And you can use this together with the tool to educate yourself on the types of factors to look for when you're selecting a journal, how to evaluate the quality of your own study so that you're choosing an appropriate journal or an appropriate impact factor, and all of these kinds of things. So you can go to learning.edons.com. So I strongly recommend that in addition to the journal selector tool, that you also try our journal selection course here on Learning Lab. It only takes you about half an hour, maybe 30-40 minutes to go through the whole course, but it's packed with useful tips and tricks and guidelines to help you in finding the journal for your paper.